I'm Debbie Teeter, Director of Sales and Marketing for Garment USA. I'm here with Lance Ulrich, 20-year veteran in the paint booth industry. Lance is going to show you today how to change out your garment sealing filters. Sealing filters are important to the operation of your booth. They help you provide cleaner paint jobs, proper pressure, and also burner performance. So Lance, why don't you show us, how do you change out those sealing filters?
Okay, what we're going to do, you're going to need a ladder, you're going to need a 1/2-inch wrench, and that's about it. So we're going to climb up here, we're going to loosen all these whirly birds about a 1/4 turn on each nut. Once you've done that, we're going to want to drop these back 2 first. So you turn your whirly bird to the flat side down. Now that filter will come down. With your hand on this bar in the center, do not grab these little rods. If you're going to grab onto something, grab this center bar right here. Now you can drop this filter, turn your other whirly birds. Now we come straight back and out. That's how you remove the filter. Now we're going to go out here and I'm going to show you how to change this filter out of the rack. Okay, now that we've got our filter rack out, grab you a bumper rack from in the shop. You can lay your filter rack right on top of there. That's all you need. So now we're going to remove our filter by just simply grabbing the corner and peeling it out. There's your old filter. Set that to the side. Now with your rack back up on here, you want to get your tack cloth and you want to wipe down this filter rack. All these rods you want to clean, flip it over, clean all the outside, clean this, wipe all this down with the tack cloth. Now that you have that clean, now you need to be sure that your hands are clean. Make sure your hands are clean because you're going to grab a new filter. These filters are tacky on the bottom side to catch and hold dirt. So any dirt you have on your hands will show up on your filter. So let's make sure we've got clean hands. So now I get my filter out of the bag, laying it face down. You always want the garment face down on your rack. Centering your filter over your rack, go around and just kind of square it up. Yes, it is going to be overhanging because we're going to tuck all that in to the edges, and that's what holds this filter in place. So with that being said, you pull out your trusty screwdriver. You start in the corner right here and you tuck the filter in on each corner. And it literally just tucks up underneath there. You just keep jamming filter media in there until it gets good and tight. Come down to your other end. Now you can actually grab your filter, pull it out, check your squareness of it, tuck in your other corners. So this is the corner I'm talking about. We're going to drop this down and then you just take your screwdriver and start tucking it in. Now that I've got all 4 corners in, the easiest way to do this is take a pizza cutter. And you can just roll down this side right here, but being that I do not have that with me, I just take my screwdriver and I tuck my filter in. Okay, now we got our filter out. We want to go ahead and clean our pressurization plates up in the plenum. So you'll want to remove those plates. And it's very simple. Put a pair of gloves on because this is raw sheet metal up here and you do have the possibility of cutting yourself. So a little protection won't hurt. Turn that up, drop this pan out. And you'll want to take all the pans out. Take them outside your booth when you're doing this. And you want to wipe off any dust or debris that's up in your plenum. But like I said before, let's do that outside the booth. Now that everything is cleaned, and we're going to go back in with them. First of all, you'll put your balancing plates back in the plenum in the same spots they were before. So now my balancing plates are up in the plenum. Now, while you're here, you notice your Excelicure fans are right here. So take your tack cloth and let's go ahead and wipe down these fans right now while we're up here. You'll be able to wipe off all the blades. If you have a lot of overspray buildup on these blades, that means you're overdriving the motors on the Excelicure fan. So in other words, you're running them too fast. Slow down your speed because you're actually picking up overspray and dumping it right back down on your paint job. Okay, now that we have our filter reinstalled, as you see, I'm holding it on the big bar. Like I said before, never on these small bars. You've wiped everything down, we're ready for reinstall. So we'll go up the ladder with our rack. You want to install behind you first by turning these whirlybirds a quarter of a turn. That will latch them and hold it in place while you work your other side. Now you can see I'm using both hands now. Turn your whirlybirds. Once everything's up in place, turn them. And you're locked in. Now, what we need to do is we need to check our gaps here and also on your outside edge. Make sure that we're centered in here, we don't have a big gap. All that looks good, then we want to make sure that our whirlybirds are in the correct position. If you look up here, you'll see that this broke edge on this whirlybird is coming straight out. You do not want this whirlybird sitting with just the flat and then your rolled edge back here, because that's all the strength of this locking mechanism. So always be sure you got that pointing front to rear. And that's how you change your sealant filters. Okay, now that we have all our whirlybirds lined up, we know everything's lined up like they're supposed to be, now we can tighten down the bolts around the filter rack. Okay, one last tip I have. Once you've changed your sealant filters and you have everything ready to go, it would be ideal to run your equipment for 30 to 45 minutes after you change that. That'll allow the booth to clean itself up and make several air changes and get any remaining dust or debris that you might have possibly missed or that's still floating in the air out of the equipment before you start your next paint job.